Ah, my friends, come closer, closer still. The fire is warm, but tonight the story I tell has the cold of the deep ocean in it. A story from Florida, a place of sunshine and beaches, yes, but even in the brightest places the darkest shadows can hide. Tonight, Gustav Preda tells you of the St. Augustine Lighthouse. In my country, we have stories of the Iale, beautiful spirits that dance in the forest and lure men to their doom. But this is not about a clever spirit. This is about children, and how a moment of play became an eternity of sadness. It was a long time ago, in the 1870s. They were building a new lighthouse, a grand tower with black and white stripes to guide the big ships safely away from the, treacherous shoals. The man in charge of the construction, Hezekiah Pittee, he lived right there with his family, his wife and his children. Among them were two girls, Mary, who was 13, and Eliza, who was 9, full of life, always laughing, always playing. Their favorite toy was a small wooden cart, like a little railroad car, that was used to carry supplies from the beach up to the tower. The girls, they loved to play in it, pushing each other down the tracks. What a happy sound their laughter must have been! But one day, something went wrong. The little cart, maybe it was going too fast, maybe a wheel was loose. The brake on the cart, it broke. The cart, with the girls inside, it shot down the tracks right towards the ocean. It smashed through a wooden barrier at the end of the tracks and plunged into the deep water of the bay. The girls, they were trapped. By the time they were pulled from the water, their laughter was gone forever. Two bright lights extinguished in a moment. A terrible, terrible accident. But is that where the story ends? Oh no, my friends, that is where it begins. The lighthouse was finished. The giant light began to shine, a powerful eye watching over the dark water. And the keepers of the light, the men who lived and worked in that lonely tower, they started to notice things, strange things. Imagine you are the keeper. It is late at night. A storm is raging outside. You are climbing the long, winding spiral staircase. 219 steps to the top. It is a long climb. And you hear it, faintly at first, over the sound of the wind, giggling. The sound of two little girls laughing. You stop. You listen. The sound is coming from above you, at the top of the tower, but you know you are alone. Your heart beats faster. You call out, "Who's there?" And the only answer is more laughter, echoing down the iron staircase. And it was not just sounds. Keepers would be cleaning the giant lens, a very important job, and they would see them, the fleeting, shadowy figures of two small girls darting around the walkway at the very top of the lighthouse. They would be there for a second, and then just fade away. But the girls, they are not always playful. The keeper's cottage, the house where the Pittee family lived, is right next to the tower. And here the sadness is very strong. People who stay in the house at night, they hear the sound of a little girl crying softly in one of the empty bedrooms. They hear furniture being moved around in the rooms upstairs when no one is there. Doors will lock and unlock on their own. One keeper, he was a very, no-nonsense man. He did not believe in ghosts. One night he was sitting in his chair, smoking his pipe, and he saw it. A long, beautiful blue velvet ribbon just floating in the middle of the air. It danced and swirled in front of him for a few moments, and then it just vanished. He never tried to explain it. He just knew what he saw. But the girls are not the only spirits in that lonely tower. Oh no, there is a darker presence. A tall, dark figure is sometimes seen in the basement of the cottage. A man who... Some say it is the ghost of a previous lighthouse keeper who fell to his death from the tower. And this spirit, he is not friendly. People who go into the basement feel a sudden crashing dread. They feel like they are being watched by something full of hate. Tools are thrown across the room, and a deep, guttural voice has been recorded on ghost hunting equipment, a voice that growls, "Get out!" And then there is the man who, hanged himself. Another keeper, driven mad by the loneliness, or maybe by the spirits that were already there. They say his ghost still haunts the tower. People climbing the stairs have felt a cold hand on their back, as if someone is trying to push them over the railing. They feel a rope brush against their neck in the darkness. In my country, we have places where the spirits are tied to the earth. At the St. Augustine Lighthouse, they are tied to the light. The most terrifying reports are from the very top in the lantern room itself. People have been up there looking at the beautiful view, when suddenly one of the heavy iron hatches on the floor will fly open with a loud bang. Or they will see a face, a pale, screaming face, looking in at them from the outside, 165 feet in the air. The fear is a real thing there, my friends. One man, a television host, he was filming in the tower at night. He ran out, his face white, and refused to go back in. He said he heard a woman's voice shriek directly in his ear, "Help me!" So, if you are ever in St. Augustine, and you see that beautiful tall lighthouse with its black and white stripes, remember my story. It is not just a landmark. It is a tombstone. It is a playground for the dead. And the laughter you might hear on the wind, it might not be the sound of living children. It might be the sound of two little girls who are forever trapped, forever playing in the shadow of the great light. Good night. And be careful on long winding staircases. You never know who might be climbing behind you.